People, Deluded, I'm back again. Thank you for watching and rocking and tuning in. Now, it's pre-season, as you lot know. We might as well speak about the transfer news. I say pre-season. For me personally, football hasn't stopped because now we've got Arsenal's pre-season fixtures well underway. We've obviously played against Boreham Wood. We've obviously played against Colorado Rapids in the Stan Kroenke derby. I believe we've got Bayern Munich next, and then I believe on Saturday we have Fiorentina. There might be a game sandwiched in between, or games. I know we're playing Angers, and we've got a couple of other fixtures sandwiched in between that, or in not even sandwiched, ongoing right now is the UEFA Under 19 Championship. We've had the 21s, we've had the 17s, we've had the Under 20 World Cup, we've had Toulon. So it's been quite an eventful summer for me personally in terms of youth tournaments, and football's just consistently going. To be fair, it's never a break really and truly. I think June was the only towards the end of May, the only time there was a really good break for me. But we might as well speak about just the transfers and all of them things, the latest bit of news that I've seen. But first and foremost, I have seen Ilya has gone out on loan. Ilya, Arsenal keeper. Sorry people, I cannot pronounce the team name he's gone to. I think it's in his homeland. So I'm going to actually type it in on Google, but he's someone that needs to go out on loan and play football and all of them things. Young Macedonian keeper. I say young, he's almost 25 years of age now. Signed a new deal last season. If I'm honest, he clearly has no future at the club, really and truly, beyond being a spare part, being an option in terms of pre-season and whatnot. He's joined SKF Serid, I believe the name is, in Slovakia. Not too sure. That's quite an interesting choice of loan spells. What the reason behind choosing them is anyone's guess. I mean, it could have been where he deems his development is best. It could have been one of them loan spells is just rust. There could have been a lack of interest from higher reputation. That don't make no sense. Higher reputation sort of European clubs and whatnot. Ben Napier's obviously the loan manager at our club, and he's done well for me to find Ballard a home very early on. Osei Tutu. Ben Shafe's gone out on loan, and now there's him, probably the fourth or fifth name. This one's a bit bewildering. So we'll see, man. He's 24 years of age. He has to play football. You can't be 24 still in under 23s football. That it don't really add up. He's 24 years of age. If he leaves Arsenal tomorrow, yeah, he's made some senior appearances at places. But if I was buying him and I was going to be his incoming manager, I'd look at it like, there must be something wrong with you because you're 24 years of age, beyond the occasional cup competition and travelling with the squad. Have you really made men's football appearances? Are you really a good keeper? And that might mean a lack of trust. So if nothing more, it means he gets some games under his belt and things like that, man. He's been here since 2012 and it's just not going to happen for him. So it's nice to see he's found a place on loan. Also keeping on top with the keepers, it also brings me to think of what happens with Matt Macy. We need a third choice keeper. Macy will probably stay as a third choice keeper. He didn't have the best of loan spells at, where was he last season? Was it Plymouth? Forgive me if I'm wrong. Didn't have the best of loan spells. Similar to Ilya, he's a big man now of sorts. And he needs to be making progress. Now, from a selfish point of view, Arsenal need to keep him potentially as third choice keeper. And a big indication as to whether he's won that race or not is Ilya's gone on loan and he's here. He's contracted until 2020. He's 24 years of age. It could be worth Arsenal just biting the bullet. He stays here for a year. We've got Leno, which will be the first choice. Martinez, I assume, will take the initial early stages of the Europa League. I know Leno said he wants to play all games, but I assume Martinez, Europa League, Carling Cup, FA Cup, maybe an occasional Prem game if that's what Emre deems. But you'd be inclined to believe that's your cup and Premier League keepers respectively. Matt Macy, in the event somebody's injured, he's there. Or he might be deemed good enough and whatnot. I think he's a decent keeper. Probably needs to leave to go and have a career elsewhere and whatnot. Because like I said, he's 24 and it's not gonna get better than being third choice. If he likes to be an Arsenal player but not an Arsenal player, and that he's training with players like Lacazette and Aubameyang, he's part of a top 6 club. He's not really, I can't see him moving to another top 6 side or top side in England or elsewhere, people. So the certain privileges you get, you'd be forgiven for him being comfortable. I mean, football's like any other job, people. People get comfortable in positions, and it's only football that we criticise and call people money grabbers and whatnot, because people get comfortable in positions. If not, I'm sure some of you know someone that could be earning more money elsewhere, but they've been in the same position or same organisation for 20 years. As humans, we seek comfort. Footballers are no different. So you'd like to think, and obviously you can't rule out him leaving because he's got a year left on his contract. If there is offers from elsewhere, we'll see. But he didn't have the best of loan spells at Plymouth last season. He had some dark periods. But it is what it is, man. I mean, really, he's got more to move forward with than Ilya, to be fair with you, man. He's got 34 appearances in League One, conceding 65 goals. In League Two, he's made 15 appearances, conceding 20. And he's played in the FA Cup, so he's at least got something. Europa League 2, so he's got something behind him. But he looks to have won the race for the third choice keeper, and obviously he was the keeper thingy in our recent game against Colorado Rapids. But moving on with the better transfer news now. Apparently, Duncan Castles, now I don't know how reliable he is because we're going to get onto the rest of what he said later. But apparently, Arsenal are surprisingly open to offers for Aubameyang, especially from China. Is that something we already didn't know? I'm not too sure because we've rejected China offers. We've seen him linked with everyone from Madrid to United and whatnot. So we'll see. It's clearly nonsense in my opinion. Anything can happen, but we've got several question marks over the side. We're moving on in the transfer market. We're right in it now. Progress is from what fans can see is slow on the Saliba front, on the Tierney front, on the Zaha front. If things are being dotted and T's are being crossed, that's a different thing. But to fans, it does look a bit slow, and time is running out. So with all the holes and all the energy we're dedicating towards fixing other areas, would it make sense opening more holes in our side, losing Aubameyang? Because if you lose Aubameyang, you need to go out and spend 80 million on a winger or two who is going to get goals, or you need to go and bring in a top striker, which people can sit here and say selling Aubameyang would be good to invest into the side, but they're not thinking about it logically. Football has changed. Aubameyang got 22 league goals for us last season. We're going to have to replace that. You have two options. You either sign a winger or two. I say winger or two because if you can scout and do your job, then cool. But them sort of wingers there that is going to come with similar sort of goals and stuff, they're going to cost a lot of money. They're going to cost 50 up. So that's going to, if Aubameyang goes for 70 and you've spent 70, 80, you've spent 50 million on a winger or 55, 60 on a winger, you have 20 million or so left if it is 80. How much can you really do with 20 million? I don't feel people look at this properly and are really critiquing all angles. Obviously, if we was to sell a striker, you need to bring in a striker like that. Obviously, you can take a risk and scout and them things there, but if it doesn't hit the ground running, there's question marks. And I believe people like Aubameyang, when you look at strikers and certain difference makers, for me, if you sell, anyone can leave as long as you're bringing in suitable replacements. I'm all for young players and untested players, but certain positions you need assurances. This late in the season, pre-season, if we was to sell Aubameyang, people, I'm not going to lie to you, I need a striker that's going to get near enough that. As much as I love Lacazette, he only got 13 goals in the Premier League last season. Yes, Lacazette has different strengths to Aubameyang. I'm not critiquing him. I'm just looking at it, people. If we're honest, where would we be without them 22 league goals? People can say we'd still be sixth, which is probably true. But realistically, go through all them fixtures and remove all his goals out of the games, and where would we be? Let's not be stupid, people. So we'll see how that one goes. But I think that one there is nonsense. Staying on top with nonsense, Duncan Castles obviously said that Arsenal are looking specifically for another fullback on the right-hand side. Now, that's not nonsense. We should be looking for a right back. But he's gone on to say we're looking to sell Bellerin. We're looking to find a young right back to initially compete with Bellerin and take his spot in a year's time. And he's also said we're looking at selling Bellerin and reinvesting into other areas. Now, how realistic is it to sell Bellerin? He's been linked with Atletico Madrid this season, but he's making great progress ahead of schedule with his injury. If he gets back to playing to his level of a couple of years ago, you will see £50 million talks. But he signed a new deal. He's someone spoken about, rightly or wrongly, as being a captain. Emre and him are Spanish and they get each other in that. What reason does he have to leave? He seems quite comfortable in London. Obviously, when some clubs come you and some managers ask for you, you've got to go. But I think that one is there's nonsense. I do think the club should be looking for a right back if they're not going to use people in their academies to compete with Bellerin and possibly fill in suitably when he's not there, because you need competition, man. Bellerin, I wouldn't say Bellerin's been complacent, because there has been times he's had competition there, even when Lil Oxlade was playing fullback. But 9 times out of 10, if we're honest, people, everybody's fit. You know Bellerin's starting, and that's good. That can be good, but I think Bellerin would if there's some competition for to compete on that spot, it's good for the fans, because if one gets injured, a suitable right back can take their place. But on the other hand, Bellerin, when you think people are taking your spot, you all complacency that might be in your game gets kicked out. So while I think that one's nonsense, people, I do think half of it is true and that we're looking for a right back, but Duncan Castle's probably inviting stories. I'm not too sure if I've said this in a previous vid, people, but John Jensen has become our head of scouting in Scandinavia. Also, Kieran Tierney, on the Kieran Tierney front, apparently we're going in with a third bid. We've probably bidded 10 times now, according to media outlets, but from what's come out via Jim Wright and the people on Sky Sports, we bidded 18 million with add-ons reaching 25. Quite rightly, why would Celtic want that? They're within their rights to seek closer to 25 or 25 baseline. So they were clearly at loggerheads. We'll see how it progresses. Apparently, we're confident of getting the move done. People from Celtic side, in terms of people in the know, from what I can read, are confident, not even confident, they think he might leave. Apparently, Tierney's open to it. Apparently, he might earn 80k here a week, which isn't the greatest of salaries, and things like that in terms of messing up our wages. But it is a handsome salary, and I could probably assume a decent increase on his time at Celtic. But the longer this takes on, the more there's the risk of Kieran Tierney getting cold feet because of his allegiances to Celtic and things. We also need to remember he is injured, so I'm not too sure when he'd return from his injury. But I hope we get him, man. Ironically, our left back at the club in Nacho Monreal assumes players are going to come in. He said 100% the club is looking for players. They will come. So has he been told something we don't know? Who knows, people? But I really do hope Monreal is true. Monreal's true on that. Just on top of the Tierney front again, it says the Daily Record, I believe, is a Scottish-based paper, said Celtic are bracing themselves for a third offer, but Arsenal won't go above the 25 already offered as they look to restructure the deal. Arsenal remain confident they can get the deal over the line, with talks continuing between Sanye and Celtic CEO Peter. Pardon me, people. Peter Lowell. Emre is understood to have made it clear to Sanye that he regards Kieran Tierney as a priority this summer. Sources close to Kieran Tierney have indicated he's entrusted by the prospect of joining Arsenal if the club do reach an agreement. So we'll see how that one goes, man. Apparently, Dani Alves, if we didn't know already, is not a viable option because of his salary. It's nothing more than a dream. More reports out of Brazil, more than we already know, is that apparently Arsenal 6 days or so ago inquired about Guillermo winger Everton and to see how much he would cost, and we was told how much he would cost, and it appears that he's very much a plan B in regards to Zaha. You'd think Zaha, we need to get a move on the Zaha front, because surely Palace would be silly to let. I think it will go until the last day, but surely if Palace wanted to find a replacement of some sorts, it wouldn't make sense going down to the last day. Probably my assumption is stop saying Celtic. Palace will dig their heels in, people, and Zaha will still be a Palace player, but who knows, man. Going back lastly onto the Saliba front, apparently he's always preferred Arsenal, which Keith Marina said, but St Etienne are the problem. They're the ones trying to more or less drive Spurs and Arsenal into offering more money and getting as much money for their young prospect as they potentially could. I know a lot of people said that Everton Suarez wasn't going to travel with his team to face Bahar. I can never say their name on Thursday, but apparently he will travel. He will depart with them. So he clearly won't be completing this alleged Arsenal medical or whatnot anytime soon. But on that front, I don't feel I've got anything else to add. I've been here for too long anyway, so I'm going to keep it out of here. Get out of here more or less. People, Deluded, I'm out. Thank you for watching and rocking as usual.